situation because I think I'm just on now. So good morning, good evening, everybody. It is a pleasure to have you on board. This is International Master Andras Toth greeting you from Australia, which is a very unique situation indeed because it is the morning for me. So you guys know a lot more currently than I do about the events of the previous hours. We have had round 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 today at the Chessable Masters, and we are going to take a look at some of the best games that we had in these rounds. I'm more than happy to answer questions. I'm going to quiz you. I'm going to give away t-shirts and socks and mugs. So the fun hopefully is guaranteed. I've got my games already lined up for us, or at least the rounds. So round 6 saw a decisive game between Aronian and Iturrizaga that I wanted to have a brief look at. I'm trying to single out the decisive games. I suppose it's the most sensible thing to do. So yeah, let's jump right into it. The opening appears to be here a Catalan, which is an extremely popular opening nowadays on top level of chess. It is supposed to be extremely solid and sturdy, just like Simon Williams's commentary yesterday. So I have got my work carved out for me to live up to these expectations. Note how beautifully Black is following those chess principles that I so badly like to talk about in my courses. Ooh, I forgot to load board. Thank you. Sorry. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's go back. So once again, the Catalan is popping up on the board, and Black is doing splendidly well in mobilizing his army, as you can guys see yourselves. So this is a testament to even 2800s following those chess principles that Morphy taught us about 200 years ago. This b4 square, that is what catches the eye on a, I suppose, somewhat higher level of chess, which may not be anything, but I suppose that this could become later a source of worry for Iturrizaga, who is now changing the structure. Can someone tell me, just so that we can actually make this interactive, can anyone give me an idea? And you're more than welcome to talk actually in the chat. If you could raise your hand or give a sign, that would be great. Why is this move a little bit of a positional problem? What sort of weakness do we create by doing this? Hermione is telling me that there is a problem with d3, which is true. And I was hoping to hear one more comment there in regards to what else is being weakened. D4, that's right. Mopsley's well said. So D4 square is going to be a soft spot. And interestingly enough, knight B4 is actually not necessarily played to attack the queen, but often this is a reroute so that the knight can eventually target that weak square. And so Iturrizaga here takes an interesting decision and takes the knight, thus giving up the two bishops. So this is how often in chess different types of advantages transition to another, when previously here Aronian was happy about the structure, the backward pawn, and the weak square. And all of a sudden we have a totally different advantage for Black on the board, which is the two bishops. All right, d4, knight d2, rook c8. Okay, I am going to ask a question here. Unfortunately, I can't quiz you on this one because it's white to move, but I'm going to make it a quiz because I'm curious how good we are tactically. So I'm going to make a different move. And now I'm going to quiz you. What sort of tactical motive does Black have here that we need to worry about? I'm not sure if I shared this with you guys. Did you see the quiz? Okay, what is the actual move that causes some problems? Actually, let me just put it in even better format because I went silly. So let's say I go here. Now I'm going to quiz you on the same idea. And now I need a move. Sorry, I did something silly earlier on. Let's see how we go now. You know what? I feel generous. I'm going to offer a pair of socks. A pair of socks I'm going to pick for someone who correctly answers. I've got an answer from Sekiria. Duff Bailey is also telling me some goods. Maurizio, a different answer. I'm loving the lots of different ideas. Interestingly, I didn't think I got the answer I was hoping for, but I'm going to show you what I was thinking. So here we are discussing, we were talking about bishop a4 was one of the answers. But I was looking at this little sneaky one here, using the discovery to attack the queen, and at the same time, targeting the rook on f1. Oh boy, that's a nasty one. That's a nasty one. And Hermione in the chat said that, but Hermione, for some reason, didn't participate in the actual quiz. Anyway, if we can sort out a pair of socks for Hermione, that would be absolutely brilliant. I mean, let's face it, we are talking to a chess wizard here. So, yeah, we better be cautious and make sure that... I thought that I shared the quiz with you guys. I'm pretty sure I did. Anyway, so you should, usually when I do a quiz, it should pop up on your screens, but I may have not conducted that perfectly well. So I will try my best next. I did. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. I'm all over this. Okay, let's move on. D4, queen a5, knight d2, rook c8. So you can see that Iturrizaga is removing the queen from the firing range of that rook. And by the way, people were very keen to take this pawn here. That pawn is poisoned. Throw your hand in the air if you can tell me why that is. Actually, I'm no longer sure. If you know it, you are actually better than me because like the awesome teacher I am, I'm asking the question before knowing the answer. I thought I knew it, but now I lost my confidence. I still kind of do, but I'm curious what you think. What could be our response to bishop takes a4 here? Oh, actually, it did happen. So, okay, Aronian did not think that it was real. He took it as a bluff. This is the reason, ladies and gents, why we have got so many excellent poker players among the chess elite. Because we know when the bluff is on and we know when it's not. So bishop takes a4 at first, I thought was a bit of a lemon because of b3. But can someone tell me? And here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, quiz for the shirt. Good news, it's an amazing Chessable shirt. Bad news, it's not the one I'm wearing. You can win it now. So let me quiz you. Let's find out at least one possible way to actually get out of this pin without losing a piece. So black to move. How do we avoid losing the bishop? The Läufer, as the German would say. I don't know. I'm trying to show off my non-existent language skills. I'm not even sure if it's actually a D, but it's certainly a Läufer. Oh my God. I will have to give away probably more than one shirt because I can see some alternative answers here. So we got Hermione again. Hermione wants to drop basically the Chessable shop. That much is certain because her answers are spot on. So bishop b5. A very curious case of both queens hanging. This is why a gentleman called Teichmann, who lived in the very early 1900s, said once that chess is 90, however many % of tactics. Because even here, when we think that we are winning a piece, it turns out that, not quite. If we take their queen, they take ours. And in fact, then the rook is even hanging. I have to acknowledge rook c3 as a potential counterpunch as well. Although I think here, actually, if I run away with the queen, then I can remove my queen from harm's way while still exposing the bishop and the queen here. So I think Hermione again runs away with the goods. Hermione, I think Mr. Spade is going to have to put on his grumpy hat now because you are too smart. Okay, game continues. Queen e3, pawn b3. Very, very interesting battle. Oh, wow. Check that out, baby. Queen takes b3, boomski. And just grabs that pawn. How cool is that? Wowzers. Okay, so this is how Iturrizaga makes material level, that he utilizes that pin here and pinches the pawn. Now, did Aronian blunder that? No way. No way. We are talking about one of the top 10 players of the world, so I can guarantee you that that was very much on the radar of Aronian. So what could be the benefit of giving up the pawn? I suppose expanding the diagonal of the bishop and the queen is probably the way to roll. And so now I envision rook coming here, and we have got a beautiful case of the black army fully deployed, very well developed. Queen e3, queen b4, and tada, all of a sudden, there is another reason now you can see why we jettison that pawn. We can now utilize the b5 to go on to b2. I'm going to speed up a little bit, guys, if you don't mind, because I think there is a lot of interesting stuff to look at, and I don't want to get stuck in one game. So I'm going to speed it up a little bit. So it seems that black's queenside play is coming very fluidly. b2 is hanging, the rook c2 penetration is on, and white, for one, is very interesting to note, actually, is lacking plans. Just like in life, in chess, it's always a big problem when we don't see the future clearly and we don't have plans. White has a beautiful, beautiful pawn mass in the center, but progressing either way doesn't seem to yield anything. This one loses a pawn outright, plus opens a new diagonal for the opponent's bishops, and e5 just creates an awful weakness on d5. So the main strength, the mass, the pawn mass in the center, is actually not really a trump card in the hands of Iturrizaga. Okay, penetration comes. That's it, Hermione. This is the center, but unfortunately in this case, unlike in my course, the center is not dominating the board. It should. I think Iturrizaga actually should acquire my course. That's right. I'm pretty sure that I don't have him among my students at the moment. Rook c2, he. So now things are becoming very, very ticklish. This queen is very awkwardly gemmed in. It's responsible for guarding the d2 knight, and the diagonal is becoming shorter and shorter. And e5 is forced when the d5 knight is going to be the hero of the day. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a mug for me. So that was me testing myself. So now I have got a takeaway too. Louis, please look after me afterwards. Thank you. And so now d2 is hanging. But now there is an interesting situation on the board where we are not yet ready to take, I believe, because this guy here is also hurting a bit. So trade Reno and we drop back the bishop. So the situation has changed quite dramatically. The b6 knight has entered the fray. The position went from fluid or flexible, when the pawns can go either way, to rigid or fixed, which means neither can move. Now, these become static advantages or disadvantages in the long run. And unfortunately for white, usually this pawn thrust means that he wants to do some operation against the king, because that's where he has more space. But there doesn't seem to be enough pieces around the king, pieces even, to make something happen. Let's see. Bishop f1. That's not a happy move to make. So if I was Iturrizaga, I would have thrown caution to the wind, throw in the kitchen and the sink, go knight e4, try to sell this knight f6 idea, or even knight g5, queen h5, trying to create a mate threat here. Bishop f1 trades off what we would refer to as the bad bishop for black, because of the pawn structure is such that there are a few pawns fixed on black, and these tender pawns in the long run will become the lunch of this bishop here, especially in an endgame. Let's move on quick. Take. Double pawns. No one cares, because Now the idea is to penetrate in the open files and pick off the b3 pawn. It's a minor concession. Look at that boss now on d5. Totally uncontested, can be traded off. Beautiful play by Lev. Lev is, by the way, about half a year younger than me. And we are actually, we are, no, we are not rivals anymore, but we used to be. Believe it or not, that we actually played together in one of the World Youth events back in 1996 in Yerevan, which was his hometown back in Armenia. And the best part of the story is, just to make sure that I don't brag, is that I actually beat him in the tournament, which was particularly curious because he actually came second in that World Youth by half a point, and he really should have beaten me. He was a way better player by then than I was. He was higher rated, and he just played some dodgy opening, and he didn't get away with it. And had he won that game, he would have become under 16 world champ, which was also an amazing feature to consider because he was one of the youngest participants in the field. Anyway, that was me gently blowing my own trumpet. So now we have got an equal position with an outside passer. So that dude is ready to run. This one is blockaded and is totally immobile. So there is not an awful lot happening there. Queen goes back. And all we need to do now is just to start trading and rolling the pawn. And tuck, 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 it's going to do a lot of damage. Okay, I'm going to speed up again a little bit. Whoa, this is a good moment. I like this one a lot. Queen b5. If you guys want to call out just in the chat or even by speaking what you think the threat is, that would be brilliant. I'm getting rook h1 as a threat, but unfortunately that's hanging by both of the white pieces. The idea is correct. Even the square is more or less right, because that's where we want to get. One of these squares is where we want to get to. But how do we accomplish that? We definitely need to make sure that we utilize both of the heavy pieces, queen and rook. So let's reconsider our take on this and see how we could do that. I can see Hermione. Oh my goodness, Hermione. Hermione is on fire. Queen f1 and then queen g1 or even h1, depending on whether the queen stays or goes, is going to tickle this king very, very annoyingly. Hence the move rook d3 to try to block off the diagonal. Queen c4, trying to renew the very annoying threat. So this is like a bit of a ping pong or table tennis, when two good players can sort of read each other's minds and they understand what's at stake. And when they recognize that, uh-oh, this is a threat, they go like, no, 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 not in my house, young fella. You are not doing that. And then he goes like, yeah, I am doing that. And there is fewer and fewer options available for white to actually stop it. Note how useless the knight is. Although technically it's also an outpost, it can't quite help the events of the back rank. Now, how do we fare after king h3 is a very good question. So for a hypothetical, I'm going to play a different move, queen f1. And one of the good things about this move here is that I don't have to use this threat immediately. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but we don't have to. So now we can start building different threats as well. I could also see myself doing some serious nasty here as black. For example, trade queens. No, I wouldn't. Definitely not anymore. I mean, technically that would still lead to a winning endgame. For example, if I were to play queen d1, and then rook d1, then I will be able to pick off this juicy cookie on d4. But look at this. I could do stuff like, I'm just going to play a pass move now for white because there is not an awful lot else to do. I could do it here. And now I could even do annoying things like bring in the knight. Holy cadoodle, look at that. Knight e3. And now is the quiz time, ladies and gentlemen. For the sock, for the shirt, for the mug, for, I don't know, you will be made the CEO of Chess24 for a half a day. because here we have got something absolutely amazing, Garino. Take it away. The quiz is up, ladies and gentlemen. The quiz is up. Be very careful because it's a longer sequence. I really made it sure that only the best can be the boss of Chess 24. I am sure that Mr. Dodgy won't mind. Try to also figure out why I needed this knight on e3 for this thing to happen. Right? All right, fantastico. So Darth Paul and Jarl Biorix, if I'm reading this correctly, gave me the best solution, which is this beautiful check. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. That is literally the Trojan horse that says, drag me into your city, nothing is gonna happen to you. And then they go like, sure, nice gift. And then they go like, oopsie daisies, we tricked ya. Checkmate Reno, baby. Now that is absolutely awesome. Having said that, there was a slower way to do this. I will show you that too. So there was a check here, check, take, take version, which is also a mate named after a Russian princess called Anastasia. When the knight is covering these two squares and the king is mated like so. That is also very, very nice. All right, let's see how the game actually ended. So he tried to dodge this queen penetration by rook d3 and then by rook d1. And now Aronian again is using different ranks to utilize the superior rook. Oh, that's a juicy. Can someone tell me in the chat or by speaking what would happen in case of take, take, and take? So white can, excuse me, now take twice on a3. Actually, yes, Ryle Biorix, you are the rightful owner of a mug. I'm very, very cool with handing this stuff away, guys, because I don't know how you are going to get that. So I'm just chucking the mugs and the socks and the shirts like there was no tomorrow, because in the end, I don't know. I think our greatest friend Louis is going to sort you out in that regard. I should make sure I get one too. Yes, chat is correct. Darth Paul, ephemeral forever. Everyone is spotting that the f2 pawn is indeed the tender point here. And not only that, but this comes with a check, and we are going to pick off the d4 pawn. Alrighty, let's go back. Actually, did happen. So, oh no, king p2. Do we have some Acticos? Not yet. Okay. Oh, Lev, you are a very annoying player. Look at that. Now that he lured the rook up to the third rank and white managed to dodge the threats here, he goes like, all right, let's go back then. And now, again, the various threats on the back rank are incredibly difficult to meet. So white just keeps on annoying the black pieces every step of the way, but it's clear that the back rank is gone, and with that, the game too. Ooh. That is very, very neat. Knight d2, queen c1. Okay, so I want to show you something here because I'm sure that you are burning to ask this. Why is he not going here? And the reason why he's not doing that yet is because after king here, the queen actually covers all the crucial squares, and there is no good way to continue the penetration. Even if I play queen f1, which feels like it's so damn close to this king, I do not have a threat because every single square around the white king is covered by the lady. See, this is the ultimate housewife. She looks after this king really, really beautifully. That is just a masterful defensive duty performed by the queen there. So Rajabov goes like, I can't fight with such a ferocious defender. And so he now reopens the second rank. And remember, that means this pawn is pinned. Occasionally, these moves might come to the fore. Oh, that's another filthy one. The cutting of that defender. Time trouble issues, I guess. And eventually goes on to trade off. and come from the other side. I'm accelerating a little. Ooh. Wowzers, check that move out. Your queen hanging much? I guess it is. So what is going on? Quizarino time, ladies and gentlemen. So what happens if I take the f3 queen? You are going to get quizzed. Show me the goods, ladies and gentlemen. The queen is hanging. A grandmaster of Iturrizaga Stachoa is not going to miss the queen. Did I test you only with the take the queen? Uh-oh, I did something doofy. All right, sorry. My bad. No, what do we do now is the question. Why is it not a blunder by Iturrizaga? 2600 G. I'm not going to pull the Botez Gambit. Definitely, no way. That is a different league altogether. We're not pulling Botez Gambits here, ladies and gentlemen. That was definitely a planned maneuver. Not the right one. Now, I'm very glad that I didn't offer socks and shirts and mugs for this because the Chess24 shop will go broke. E7. Correctly answered by many of you. It's a very unique case when this pawn is going to make touchdown for sure. Anytime a scenario like occurs, what you want to keep in mind though is there a follow-up check once they promote? Because if there isn't, that means that it's one thing that our opponent gets a new queen, but I can care less. I can carry on with my attacking plans and actually deliver a mating attack against this king, because when they promote, I just slide out here and there is no check on this diagonal, not so much because my queen is here, but because this queen simply cannot get on that diagonal. So, last quiz for the day, and I'm scared because Kramnik student is in the chat. Speaking of Kramnik, by the way, I believe that that lovely gentleman is also going to be doing an after show. So, yeah, I'm basically paving the way for the young fella. I hope that he's going to live up to my expectations in delivering the content. So, what is Black's winning move in this position? Your last quiz of the Iturrizaga Aronian game. Take it away. Your job is to try to catch that white king. Yes, so Chessable Masters, a very annoying member of the chat, is telling me that it's tomorrow when the legendary world champion who dethroned Garry Kasparov is actually coming tomorrow. Unless you guys reckon that I'm far more generous with mugs and t-shirts and you demand that I come back tomorrow. Queen f5 was recommended by a few, but Hermione, who is basically just, like I said before, robbing the shop, answers correctly with Queen f1. So this is a better way to do the same idea as Queen f5, because now when we slide the rook across here, all squares are taken away by the queen. So Queen f1 was played. And now White had to defend the diagonal to prevent the mate, but again, it happens at the expense of exposing all these juicy cookies. Check. And oh boy, this is a sign of a patient, good player who has good technique. Notice this, king goes here. Be honest, how many of you would be like, give it to me, yummy free pawn, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. I remember when I was a kid, I was like, oh yeah, free cookie, give it to Papa. Give it to Papa. But a good endgame player, grown up on the Russian school, would go like, no, we go check first so that I take the pawn with a check and then I can eat one more cookie. So when I am coaching my students and I have a situation like this, I always tell them, don't be greedy, because by being even greedier, you can actually eat more. A very, very prudent way for Aronian to mop up, and I believe that that was the end of it. And now all the pawns are dropping, and black has gotten easily winning queen ending with 3.5 pawns extra. H5 is dropping or not is still to be decided, but if I bring the queen back for argument's sake to defend this pawn, then I can just start rolling this dude down and get a queen. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Iturrizaga against Levon Aronian from round 6. Now, round 7, holy meduli, saw an absolute carnage. Apart from the Tariarian Iturrizaga game, every single game was decisive. Wowzers. That's like an absolute slugfest. Now, there is one game that I really wanted to see from there, and that is the Mamedyarov game. And I really enjoyed the presentation yesterday by Simon Williams. He spoke very highly of Mamedyarov, which in Simon's case means that basically he said, quote unquote, that that guy is a crazy, insane man when it comes to attacking. And I am seconding Simon's opinion on that one, just like on many other things. Fellow Chessable author Simon Williams really knows how to attack, and he has a fine eye to spot when someone is a fellow great attacker. So on the menu now is Mamedyarov against Humpy Koneru, one of the best female Indian players of all time, actually. And I don't want to quote my facts wrong, but I believe she was the first Indian female player to cross the 2600 rating barrier. So a very inspirational lady there playing with the black pieces. And the opening is the Vienna, just to confuse the geographical facts. Oh no, Mamedyarov throws in d4. Now he immediately begins a fight in the center. Maybe Mamedyarov also has my course on the center, but this is actually not really the way how you approach this problem. This opening has a fairly poor reputation because it brings the queen out early and it lands face first in this knight c6 motif, which is certainly not something that you would want to write home about as the white player. Queen has to pull back, another ugly move. So now the queen is exposed to various attacking moves. So you might think there and go like, dude, why are you saying all these things? Like the guy is 2800, he would beat you in a blink of an eye. Why are you so critical of this? Well, that's one side of the story. The other side of it is, though, is that it actually disrupts the balance very early on. So from here on, Koneru is forced to play best moves to prove this wrong. And also another thing that Mamedyarov is desperate to do is to castle queenside. Now, anytime you castle queenside in a game of chess, that almost inevitably leads to very interesting scenarios, because very often it also leads to opposite side castled kings when the crazy attacking style, just to stick with Simon Williams' best description of Mamedyarov, will come to the fore. So check this out. He goes bishop d2, and tada, he tucks away on the other side. Now, where do you think this queen should go in order to allow these guys to come out, and in particular the bishop, and to keep an eye on the opponent's king? Where should we move this queen at one point? He didn't do it, but g3, that is very good, Mobsleys. You are spot on. Very, very clever idea. The reason why we can't go right there now, I think Mobsleys deserves a t-shirt too, by the way. I will talk to the boss. Is because actually let's propose this. What's wrong with this? What would you do now if you were black? Something has become loose and capturable. And Hermione, being the magical whiz, is already saying that knight e4 is the problem, which is why Mamedyarov, for the time being, goes knight e2. Why to e2 and why not to f3 is a very good question to ask. And the reason why he doesn't do that is because he wants to have the ability to retake on c3. So if you look here, after rook e8, the rook and the knight is attacking here. Black is threatening to eliminate the defender and then take on e4 and take the cookie in the center. So in order to prevent that, we go knight e2, so that when the bishop takes, the knight can take back and protect the pawn. Juicy. Okay, knight e2, d6, bishop g5, creating a very annoying pin. h6, x. Okay, now I quite like what I'm seeing here. This is a little bit of an unconventional move because I would have expected Mamedyarov to drop back to h4. I think the reason he did not choose to maintain the pin is because black has knight e5 and then knight g6 maneuver available to tickle the bishop. Now, Hermione, you need to refrain from touching the keyboard because you are now reigning on my party. You are answering questions before I even ask them. After bishop takes, queen takes, Quizarino incoming, ladies and gentlemen. Oopsies, sorry. Here we go, queen f6. My bad, quiz incoming, no quiz incoming now. What do you think is White's best response? Which is part of the reason why White decided to take on f6. How can we take advantage of the peculiar position of the black queen? And I am getting 75,000 answers. It's very, very exciting, guys, that you are engaging so well. Thank you so much. So I got a lot of knight d5s and no other move was proposed at all. That means that we are absolute legends together here. So much so, actually, that Mamedyarov approved this idea and played knight d5 himself. Now, this is only a semi-fork because the b4 bishop is actually protected. But the fact, actually, look at that. Like, that is a very ambitious knight move. So queen d8 is actually forced. And now that knight is quite a potent attacker. Knight b4. Thank you, Mamedyarov, for ruining my previous sentence. So he just trades it off for a bishop. Makes sense. Especially because there is another knight en route to the same square. Aha, told you so. And I didn't even see the game. Alrighty. For the record, I don't think Humpy has done anything wrong insofar. Knight is coming back to c5, attacking the pawn. Playable position for sure. f3. What on earth is he doing apart from attacking the pawn on e4? These are those small grandmaster moves when you go like, what is the guy doing? And then you go through the game and it just makes it look so easy when you look at it in hindsight about how awesome this move was. So for most of us at first sight, it's like this. Oh yeah, she attacks e4, dude defends it, makes sense, let's move on. There is a lot more to this move than defending this pawn. And Hermione, naughty student. So some of you guys in the chat realize that it has to do something with the g4 square. So some say it's to prevent bishop g4, but actually black doesn't want to play bishop g4 because, again, if I were to do so, I would get kicked out. Best square for this bishop is likely here. The point of f3 is actually to be able to launch a pawn storm with g4, h4, g5 to crack the defense of the king open. So that's what's happening. All right. Bishop d7, h4. Ta-da. Queen b8. All right. What is Humpy doing here, ladies and gents? Why is the queen making this extremely mysterious move? It feels like it's getting buried on b8. Queen a7 and b6 is an interesting idea, but I'm afraid that it may not achieve too much. You are right that it would activate the queen, but not quite well enough. Besides, the queen on b6 would always be a juicy target of a knight d5 idea. Indeed, Duff Bailey and some others are correctly indicating that the plan is a counter pawn storm. Remember when I talked to you about in the earlier on about King's Castle to the opposite wing? So I actually dedicated a whole entire chapter to this scenario in my course, which is about king safety. One of the most important things in chess is the safety of your king. And the most common situation when the king's respective safety is at stake is when they are castled away from one another. And the reason for that is because now I am free to charge up these pawns like a madman at my opponent's king. In fact, I would prefer not to have them at all. That is actually the purpose of the pawn storm, to open up files for the heavy dudes to be able to attack the king. And whilst I'm charging like a madman at my opponent's king, if they are doing their job right, they are going to charge their pawns at me like a madman and try to make me first. And so these opposite colored scenarios, more often than not, become a bit of a race. Whoever is faster is the winner. Let's see who gets here first. G4, B5. As you can see now, everyone is throwing caution to the wind and just going for it. The ultimate chess that we enjoy watching. G5. Come at me, says Mamedyarov. I shall, says Humpy. Fascinating stuff. Now, one thing I would like to highlight for you, which I'm guessing is going to surprise you a little bit, is that this move is a huge disadvantage for black, and this move is a huge disadvantage for white. They would prefer to have these pawns back here and here. And the reason for that is because you might think, but why? They actually stop this. No, they encourage it. Because now when I play G5 as white, I'm already creating tension. I can bite into something, forcing a file to open up. Imagine this pawn back being on h7. If I play g5, nothing happened. But as soon as I play g5 here, there is a tension there, and now black is going to have to respond one way or another. Likewise here, when b4 comes, no matter what I do, a file will be opened, whether it's me taking this or them taking here. So a lot of the time, lower rated players, when they see a storm coming like this, they try to stop it by moving pawns in front of their king. By far the worst thing you can do. So yeah, that's just a heads up. Having said that, both players play these moves way before the attacks began. So that's sort of a condition that they carried into the position rather than playing silly moves. Okay. B5, G5, B4. Yes, Sakiria, that's precisely it. It's the best way to describe it is that they accelerate the attack. I talk at length about these scenarios in Chess Principles Reloaded King Safety. BA3, BA3. So this is a very unique case where now Humpy still needs to prove that her attack is the faster, because although she opened up the file, but now she needs to pile up the heavies to make something happen. Oh, I'm so excited about this game, man. Ooh, C6. I'm wondering if there is anything in throwing this check-in. I think he went back. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah. So the idea behind this check was to then take here with the queen and give a mate. But I reckon that there is a very good move here for black that prevents this attack from being successful. I'm gonna quiz you for a sock. So 2 questions will earn you the pair of socks. So now it's a stingy question. Take it away. Black to move, defend the mate. Oh, wow. Look at you. So many correct answers. I think the only appropriate figure of speech I can use here is that you guys are blowing my socks off. King h7, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. The idea is not only to defend the pawn, but to dodge the check on the g file. And so if I insist on piling up this threat, then you can just go like, no, not in my house. As good old Dikembe Mutombo used to say when he was defending the ring for Atlanta Hawks, for the basketball-y inclined. So drops back to c3, and now this tension is very heavily on. I would actually consider here for black playing h5, believe it or not, because the idea is, as I said before, to avoid opening files. Okay, I mean, Hampy, who knows chess a lot better than I do, she goes like, no, we're not defending, brother. We are attacking. And I can fully get behind that. So to be fair, I like that a lot. Now it's absolute gung-ho, throwing away the shield and charging at your opponent with your sword alone. That's all it is. Rook b8, mate in 1 threat. Now, this is typically, by the way, the type of thing that would discourage people to engage with a move like this, because they go like, oh, that's a mate in 1 thread already. I don't like it. And they don't look beyond that situation. Like it's a very static evaluation. You are not necessarily assessing what is going on. You are assessing what is on. Because if we just expand our thinking by a half a move, then we are going to realize that if I move this queen virtually anywhere at all, and to model this, I'm going to play a very silly move. We have actually successfully dealt with the mate. I can run. I'm not happy to do so, but all of a sudden, the mate has been dealt with. So now your question to earn the other part of the sock. Oh, actually, nah. I have to rein out my own party here because I realized what happened here. I thought that he played queen here. And I realized that that is actually a terrible move. And that is what Hampy was banking on too. Because after here, creating the mate threat, check and here, actually, this is the question that you need to answer for the other pair, the other part of the sock. And this is probably the hardest question of the day. So be ready to pull some amazing move for black to avoid the mate and in fact even come out on top. By the way, but whilst you guys are thinking, I really hope that this sock and mug and t-shirt features me on it, not the Chess24 logo. We are going to start a revolution here. Actually, speaking of the devil, there is a mug now with me on it. So if you want to have a good giggle, be sure to check out the Chess24 shop afterwards, because an absolutely hilarious image is there of me. All right, very, very broad answers this time. Oh, shoot, I forgot to see who gave me the correct answers. Knight b3 check. Absolute legendario, utilizing the pin, so the knight cannot be captured. Why is it so good, though? The reason why is because when I move my king, I can capture this dude and defend the mate. Ooh. How epically good is that? Even better than that is I can take this dude with a check first, yet another check, forcing the king somewhere, and then take with check. Brutal, man. Absolutely brutal. Maybe king b3 is available. Hermione is giving me the correct answer, but in this case, a second wave of defenders would come in. Check this out. It's so beautiful. Check. King goes back. Knight e6. Tuk tuk. Attack, defense. Genius. Absolutely legendario. Fair dinkum genius. What Hampi is pulling here, but unfortunately, she only gets the silver medal in the Who Laughs Last competition because this absolute crazy mental attacker called Mamedyarov, quoting Simon Williams in case he takes offense, actually comes up with the goods here and plays a move that just explodes the board. So, quiz. What is the best way to deny this queen penetration by black? How can we stop this queen b2 thing once and for all? This is probably the hardest question of the day. And once again, I got a lot of answers, a lot of queen moves, but that doesn't quite stop the check. What stops the check is bishop b5. Kramnik student says bishop b5 a la Gothenburg variation, which is a very famous line in the Sicilian Najdorf. Incidentally, a line I made a video about on my YouTube channel. So if you are interested about that, you can check it out there. So what is this again? Well, it's a piece sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen. And the idea is very simple. He just wants them to take and thus ruin everything they have achieved. An amazing idea. And now the attack is over. The knight is going to get a beautiful springboard on d5 to come into the attack, and the queen can now come to g5. So Hampi didn't even take. She went g6 to at least dodge this one. h5. And now we are just crashing through with elementary power. King h7, trying to hide underneath the pawn, a very common defensive mechanism. Queen f4, threat, bang, mate. Another threat here and here. And actually, this is where Koneru threw in the proverbial towel because she didn't see a way to continue. Now, we will have a look at this because it's still quite interesting. So, Queen f7 can only be dealt with by, excuse me, Rook f8 or Bishop e6. So I'm going to further quiz you, but I have to make sure that I'm not going to send Chess24 into bankruptcy. So I'm not going to promise anything, but I'm curious as to how we would continue this attack here for white. And I'm not even going to make a quiz, in part because I even don't know the answer to this yet. What do you guys think would be a good way to attack here? And Anonymous is typing in something that I really do like. So here is the problem. If I go Queen f6, they have this. Right? And then if I take this, they take back with the rook. And I'm not seeing the mate. So let's go back a sec. If I take instantly, then I take back. And if you go Queen f6 here, now you will find a very big downside of this capture. I can just do this, defending everything. I think the best move here, which is quite counterintuitive at first sight, is this. And the reason why this move is such a genius is not because, if it's correct, it's not because it grabs a pawn. We can't care less about material when we're attacking each other like a madman. The point of this move is that it creates the threat of taking this as well as this. So what I really want to do here is to take this guy here, which was the defender of f7, so that when they take back, then I can move in for the kill. How beautiful. Or if they take, then check, and then the king goes in a very short walk because that's mate again. So what we need to do here is to recognize the key defender. The key defender is the bishop on e6, and so we go in, and we go in. Lovely concept, and very difficult to stop too, because if I happen to defend the pawn on f7, let's say I go here, then I'm keep on eating the cookies, and now actually it becomes a very serious problem, because now queen is on, knight is on, and after something like this, there's a beautiful double attack here that wins. The first tactic I actually spot today, so I'm very proud of myself. Not gonna test you guys because I want to make it quick. Let's see, chat, how can I attack this and this at the same time? So I want to create a mate threat here. Yes, Carabantius. I wish I knew what that meant. It sounds like a Latin name. Queen e5. Mate threat. Lose piece. On your bike. GG. Game over. But you're not allowed to say that, especially when you're playing against a very, very lovely lady who is a legend herself. Queen e5. Just, man, crashes through. This is brutal. This is brutal. Absolutely brutal. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got a little time left, and that little time I would like to spend on moving my head around like mad. I wanted to have a look at Mishra. Abhimanyu Mishra, ladies and gentlemen, is the youngest grandmaster on planet Earth. And that definitely is catching the eye of a lot of people. And so I would like to see one game that was played by him. Unfortunately, we are going to see him lose against none other than the previously mentioned very evil, vicious aggressor, the one and only Mamedyarov Shahriar again. So let's have a look at how the youngest grandmaster ever in history of chess plays with the black pieces against another former top 10 GM. Actually, I don't know if Mamedyarov still is top 10. I don't think so. Anyway, Alapin Sicilian. Mamedyarov is very well known for his disrespect towards mainline openings. He tries to make up for that with immense creativity. To which my chess coaching response all the time is that imagine what a brilliant player he would be if he played proper openings and used his amazing creativity. Anyway, let's move on. So, bishop c4, attacking the knight immediately. A sideline for the record, d4, grabbing the center, as Mr. Toth will teach you in his beloved course, is #1 move here. Bishop c4 is a secondary side variation. The idea, of course, is to develop the bishop, kick out the knight, and then play d4. But black actually often plays c4 and tries to en passant on the d pawn. d6 is also good. Takes, queen takes back, and knight f3. So it's fairly easy to see that white wants to play castles, d4, and use his freedom in development, whereas Mishra is still to develop the king side. c4, bishop c2, queen e6 check. Now the point of this check, it's quite amazing. As soon as I saw this check, I knew what Mamedyarov responded, not because I know what best move is, but I just know how his brain works. So the idea behind this check, of course, is to trade queens, after which the lead in development that white is potentially banking on becomes irrelevant. And so here, Mamedyarov, once again, totally throwing caution to the wind, just goes like, yeah, whatever. Castling is just not for me, buddy. I'm good with the king on f1. It's an extremely risky decision to make. and showcases Mamedyarov's approach towards chess, which is a risk and playing for the win at all cost type of attitude. Absolutely adorable in the sense that these are the type of warriors that we like to watch. This is the reason why we tune in to watch a game of chess. It's not because we want to see some repetition draws in move 10 or 2 or 4, including king moves. If it had to be a king move, make it like this, ladies and gentlemen, and bring on the fight. G6, B3. So Mamedyarov wants to eliminate this pawn, because if he played d4 here, then what funny move would be a logical reaction from black? Type it in or speak to me. CD3, that's it. So en passant, indeed, c takes d3, the en passant capture. That is one of the latest additions to the chess rules of how the pieces move. It was added to our chess rules in the 1500s, actually. So we have been playing this lovely game with essentially unchanged rules in terms of piece movement for 500 years. That was roughly the time, by the way, when castling was added to the rulebook as well. But clearly, Mamedyarov missed out on that lesson because he's still going on a walkabout with his king. So I think Mamedyarov has got a solid 500 years to catch up on in chess history, but that's fine. So yes, that's a cool touch there. In case you didn't know that. Also, now that I'm on this short history lesson, bishop movement was also different back then. So the bishops could only go 2 squares, and they used to jump. It was the Europeans who actually changed the rules of chess because they found the game too slow. The pawns could only go 1 square. The kings couldn't castle. The bishops could only go 2 squares at a time in a jumping fashion. And the Europeans, who were all fast-paced by then, went like, nah, it's not good, guys. We need to accelerate the game. And so they invented the double pawn move. They invented the long diagonals. They invented castling. And they added all these rules to the chess that they actually learned from the Arabs, who brought chess into the European continent during the Arabic invasion of Spain in the early 7 to mid 7, I think, 700s. Anyway, I digress. B3. Take. No take, actually. I like the fact that he didn't take. He develops. And so that's Mamedyarov. So now there's a little bit of a battle for the c4 square. Take back with the pawn, keeping the pawn structure together. The fewer pawn islands, the better. And now you can see that the pawns are ready to conquer the center. You can see that there is no chess game ever played, provided it's played well, where center is not the focal point of happenings, at least in the opening, but quite likely across the middle game as well. All right, let's go. D4, knight c6. H4. Oh my God, this guy is mental. This guy is pure mental. He goes like, development, that's not for me. Let's go gung-ho attack. So basically what he does here is he repeats the same concept from his previous game from Humpy when he launches a pawn charge in order to open up the H file against the king. So the plan is H5, take, trade the bishop on H6, bring the queen in, and checkmate. When he does it, it looks very easy. I'm telling you, just play like Mamedyarov and you will be fine. Just play like him and you will do fine. I don't understand the difficulty in this. Nah, I'm kidding. When you see it done by the legends, you just go like, they make it look so easy. And why does it never work when I do it? Because moves like this would not occur to me. I'm not gonna lie. So most of us, I suppose, would have played queen e1 or queen e2 or even queen d2 with the idea of bishop h6. But no, he goes queen e1. And the reason why I'm talking about it at such length is because I'm stalling, because I still haven't figured out why he did this. And it sucks when you're commentating and you don't know what you're talking about. So, No idea. All right. Now I think I got this figured out. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we have got a eureka moment. And Anonymous1234 is the one who gets the credit because they are asking me, why did they go queen d7? And very often when you try to figure out the meaning of a move, the best thing you can do is to backpedal a bit and see what the other guy did and try to put the two and two together. And that's exactly what Anonymous made me do. Queen d7 was played with the idea of e5. And I reckon he moved off the d file so that if e5 comes, I can take without allowing a queen trade. Having said that, that still leaves open the question of why did he not go here instead of here? And what I suspect the answer to that question is that after knight d5, this pawn is very tender. This one is very tender, not tender, it's tender, and so it needs attention. And that's why I think he played this very prudent queen e1, a classic case of what we like to refer to as prophylaxis, which means that we are dealing with threats before they occur on the chessboard. This is also the word that we use when we try to show our superiority compared to other players who we assume know less than us. Then when you throw in words like prophylaxis, and all of a sudden you look like you are the expert. Probably you are going to hear that word a lot, by the way, from former world champion Vladimir Kramnik when he picks up the gauntlet tomorrow on the very same show. So queen e1, e6, rook d1, knight d5, c4. Now the center is beautifully in motion. So I think Mamedyarov can skip the next chess lesson with me. He's seemingly doing okay. Bishop e4, a5, knight b5. Now we know that that's a juicy outpost. I am sensing that this is roughly the point where Mishra is a little bit losing the momentum. And what I would do if I had the chance as black here, but maybe he doesn't, is a rapid development with b6, bishop b7. Because this part of his army is very poorly away from the main events. And I'm really worried that we will get a cutboard scenario where white is going to attack here and there will be all kinds of issues. Now, admittedly, d5 is pending. So I could be talking absolute garbage here, but I don't know, like take knight a5. Is this really that terrible? I don't think so. If d6, I can go here. And you can see that we are experiencing a very strong contrast between the scenario I described a couple of moves ago when black was behind in development. Now it's white. Rook is coming to e8. There's a pin here, and the pawn is not particularly powerful. So I don't know. I'm guessing this is the reason why Mishra didn't play b6, but this seems to me like an issue. Dr. Opacic is telling me that I'm hanging a knight. That reigns on my party very hardcore. And if I throw in this check, I'm still hanging this knight. Yeah, there is a reason why Mishra is a GM and I'm not. And that is that this problem is a lot harder to solve than I thought it would be. Okay, let's move on. a5, knight b5, b6, 19. I love this, man. Like he just came to the party with this b6 potential. I moved too late or I moved too soon. And now knight e5, I can just take back and then rook is hanging, queen is hanging. Rough. Definitely rough. Okay, knight e5, queen b7. So this is when you know that you are in trouble. When you have got a pin on a piece and the best move you have is to put another piece into the very same pin, that's when you know that it's trouble times, time to offer a draw and hope for the best. Oh my God. This guy just takes no prisoners. Like, look at that, g4. How many of us would be like, how can I win this? How can I win this? How can I win this? More pressure. I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. No. No. Mamedyarov, if he has got one thing dialed in to perfection in his chess, is that the guy has got two eyes and yet he has got this 24/7 in his vision. Like, I don't know how he does that. but his vision is constantly on the opponent's king. Like, I don't think he won a game in his life ever when he won material and then went on to win by promoting a pawn. Nah, he goes like, nah. Last time I checked the rule book, 500 years ago, the purpose of the game was to checkmate the king, so let's do that. And he just goes like, yeah, here we go, baby. Mate attack. Knight d6 is a recommendation, but in my opinion, it just forces the queen to a better square. So he goes e4, baby. Takes h5. Don't tell me that he's not predictable, right? He just goes like, whoo, let's go and attack. f5. Bishop back. Retains the pin. It's very cool to watch how he's attacking here, but at the same time, he's keeping the entire queen side completely tied down. Breathtaking, beautiful vision. This is what Alekhine introduced sort of into chess, and that is that he was the first world champion who managed to play chess on the entire board, so that you could see that his actions were not directed to one particular segment of the board, but on its entirety. I like to refer to this as total chess, because in the 70s and 80s, the Dutch soccer team, the national soccer team, was known for their strategy called the total football or total soccer, when they would go just all out, covering the whole field with extreme efficiency. And this is what it reminds me of, when in every single part of the board, white is ahead. Now, knight g6 was possible, but I'd really dislike it because that cashes in for material. And the idea is never material. Having said that, we even lost material there because we lost 2 pieces for the rook. The idea is always to retain the attack and target this guy. Takes. Thus, a very important defender has been eliminated. So now I can already see, just for the sake of you understand how a chess player's mind works, I already see a mate pattern that looks like this. Right? Now, I played only garbage moves for black, but this is how chess players see the board and the ideas before they even materialize. That a motive comes to the head and I'm like, okay, so I know what I'm playing for. And so that is already, I can guarantee you, that was in the vision of, or rather in the mind of Mamedyarov, as soon as this capture occurred, that, I can chuck this in, I can take mate. Queen h7 is to bring the queen into the defense. Queen d2 is to bring the queen into the attack. Again, note that he's not rushing this, because after queen takes, now the bishop would hang. First, he secures the bishop, and in true Mamedyarov fashion, he does not care about this pawn. Bishop h6, beautifully disconnecting the queen from the pawn. So now he's switching directions, allowing the queen to come in, allowing the rook to come in, allowing the whole shebang to penetrate with elementary power and attack the king. Rook f7. All right, we haven't had a quiz for a long time. Let's do a quiz. How would you continue this attack? I'm going to give you a little hint. Mishra blundered here. The quiz is up. Take your time. I was very generous. I gave you half a minute. Checkmate Areno, please. And the results are in, and boy, oh boy, we have got a lot of people actively participating in our Chessable classroom activities. Indeed, Queen d8. As I like to say it all the time, every time when I am streaming or YouTubing, if you are not sacrificing your queen, you are not playing chess. That's when you know that you are onto something, ladies and gentlemen. When the lady is on offer but can't be grabbed, I mean, in this case, there is no choice. Knight takes d8, rook takes, rook f8, rook takes f8, wraps up a beautiful attack on the king of the youngest grandmaster on planet Earth. That was a beautiful attack by the Azeri GM. A very, very impressive onslaught that started here with g4 and just mercilessly executed this attack to perfection. Note, beautifully combined with this pesky pin that kept a lot of the black pieces at bay, making them totally unable to participate in the defense. And now there is another reason why you understand why in many chess courses you would hear about the importance of development and connecting the rocks. Look at the final motif. The only reason why we have mate is because this bishop hasn't moved. If this bishop has had just one go in the game to go somewhere, this mate motif would no longer work. Which is not to say that white wouldn't win, because there is also another motif here at play that would be quite powerful, and that is the queen check here, and then rook up, and then this h-file is going to definitely win. But that's literally ugly compared to what a stunner this move is. And ladies and gentlemen, I regret to tell you that this is going to be the end of our after show. I hope that you enjoyed yourself. Please be sure to tune in for the rest of the week, because absolute legends are to pick up the gauntlet. Vladimir Kramnik, former world champion, holy cow, is going to be my successor. I mean, that is actually a sentence I'm going to put on my CV from here on. My successor, Vladimir Kramnik. Thank you. I'll take that, and also be ready for other legends such as I think Peter Svidler is coming too. So yeah. I don't know. I hope that they feel that the pressure is on them now. Be sure to claim your socks, your shirts, your mugs, all the goodies that I promised, and I don't know how to get for you. So please talk to our lovely technicians in the chat. I believe Chessable Masters will look after you. I thank you wholeheartedly for tuning in now. I look forward to seeing you again, which I believe is going to happen soon. So take care and enjoy your chess. Bye.